What was, I mean, there were so many, I thought, just incredible performances by guys where they just stepped up. The backup linemen, I mean, they had their problems, but, I mean, this is a patchwork unit. I mean, you got guys they literally
Right.
picked up off the street. I thought it was incredible. I mean, then you had guys like Will
I agree.
Compton who hadn't played that much, and he's all over the field. Brian Quick makes some big plays. Josh Doxson finally makes a big play. Kendall Fuller's playing. I mean, there are so many guys. Who stood out the most to you, though?
Well, that's hard to say. Well, maybe it isn't. I think Zach Brown stood out, again, because of his speed. But I think the D-line, I mean, I think you're right. It's like, I don't know that there's like one guy. You can't pull that off one guy. You have to have guys making plays at the right times. And, like, I'm just watching the game again now on the coaches' stuff, and it's like you see the impact of Zach Brown's speed. Okay, and there's like just the way a guy has to come off a double team too fast, and he can take on a block in a better spot and then go in and help make the play. Or they come off and Stacey McGee, is able to recover and make a stop in the hole. Things like that. Ryan Kerrigan continues to have a very good year and a quiet from a perspective of not getting enough attention for the year he's having. So I think you add all that up. Anthony Lanier came in, I thought, gave them a good rush inside. So, again, you add Josh Norman has a really good game. I mean, you can go on, and that's what you need when you're going to play like that. And then, obviously Kirk Cousins in that last drive comes through with some two huge throws, and that's what you need. But, yeah, I think it's a lot of it speaks to the depth that they have. I also think it speaks to having depth on the coaching staff, because two areas where they've been hit were O-line and D-line. And that happens to be where they have probably their two best assistant coaches. So that all makes a difference. And, I mean, you don't pull in, like you said, I agree with the O-line. I wouldn't say they had this great performance, but they certainly didn't cost them anything. They had one false start, I think one holding penalty in that game, in that situation, which I think is quite impressive.
So now you've got the Vikings coming in. The Vikings coming off a bye, so they've been preparing for the Skins for a couple weeks, leading their division. They've won 4 straight. Now, they haven't played a lot of great teams. Their last 4 wins are Cleveland, Baltimore, Green Bay, Chicago. Green Bay without Rodgers because he got hurt. But Case Keenum, he's not lighting the world on fire, but his quarterback rating is 89. He's only got 3 picks. It's not like he's throwing up all over himself. But their defense is good. It's physical. They got a good corner in Rhodes. Their safety, Harrison Smith's one of the best. They get after the quarterback. Who knows how many of these guys are going to be back for the Skins, and that would certainly sway my opinion of the game. I don't know who's going to be available. What's your thought on this matchup? Huge game, obviously.
It is a huge game, and it's because as big a win as the day, the way you get real momentum is by building on that sort of win. Can they do that? And I think that's going to be awfully hard because Minnesota does have a really good defense. It's a well-coached team. I kind of thought before the Seattle game, I'm like everybody else. I'm thinking, okay, they're going to come back from that 3-5, but you have a chance, I think, to beat Minnesota at home because for the reason you said, it's like I think they're good, but how good are they? And it's certainly a team that you can say of the next 3, Seattle, Minnesota, New Orleans, that's probably the best chance to grab a win, just when you're looking at it on paper. But I think, again, the key, like you say, is who's going to come back, and we don't know that just yet. Trent Williams, Brandon Sheriff, I would think that Sheriff has a really good chance to play based on his progression last week and what they're hoping he can do more this week. That would be a big help. And I think Trent, is certainly going to be what he does is end of the week. We'll find out. So there's a chance that some of those guys will be back. But I think the key here is building off that. And when you talk to guys in the locker room after the game, the number one word you hear is confidence. And a win like that gives them confidence that they can do something. And I think sometimes that's all you need. So we'll see, but if they, it's funny because we're always at this point with the Redskins. Every week it seems where, if you lose, the season turns one way. If you win, it turns the other way the next week because and so every time you reach that point, they win the game when the season could go to hell in a handbasket, but they don't they haven't won the game where you can then turn it the other way and say, okay, now you're ready to do something.
Joined by John Keim, covers the Redskins for ESPN, ESPN.com. You know, you watch the coach's film, and something we discuss about all the time is the lack of a running game for this Redskins team, and part of it's on the offensive line, and you've been talking about that. But I got to believe part of it's on the running back. I saw some interesting statistics yesterday about Matt Jones last year, who they gave up on, and through 8 games he had about 460 yards, and Rob Kelly, I know he's had injuries. He's not even at 200 yards. He's averaging about 3 yards a carry. How much falls on the running back?
Well, I think in Kelly's case, he's had some injuries too, and that certainly hasn't helped because he's had a couple games where he's been running well and then got hurt. And obviously I know it comes sometimes people want to know why not more Chris Thompson was because of the size and durability, and they don't want to wear him out. He's very, very important in the role he's in. You don't want to wear him down, but I don't think that he'd be the answer in a full-time situation either. And so I think that you can definitely put part of it on that.